Okay, good morning, everyone. Okay, we're in the middle of the very lumdish sugyas of Daf Vav and Daf Zayin. Yesterday we saw the halachas of Mekadesh b'milva and the dakistik achilik of Mekadesh with the mechilas of the milva. If in Mekadesh b'milva, we said, brought in the beautiful lashon of the ritva. If you use the gufa, the halva itself, it's not yours, it's not there because milva light son new. However, if you go ahead and say you do not have to pay it back, then you're giving a viable Kidushin to her, and therefore you could be Mekadeshes with that. So we're going to begin from the bottom of Vav Amid Beis. We're going to say three different halachas. Now keep in mind, fellas, there's always the kona and the makna. So in a situation of a mechira, so the kona is the lokeach, the one who's buying it, and the makna is the mocher, the one selling it. In the situation of halva, the loiva is the kaina, he's acquiring the money, and the malva is the makna, he's giving the money. In Kidushin, the kaina is the man, he's acquiring it, and the makna is the isha, she's giving herself to it. So it's very important to know. The isha is the makna, and the minas mekadesh is the kaina. Okay, so we have a concept of orev. An orev is a person who co-signs a loan. He says, "Listen, there's a loiva. The loiva, malva says, why should I trust you?" And he says, "You're right. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll go ahead and I'll guarantee the loan. I'll guarantee the loan." So in this case, the orev, he is the one allowing the loan to take place. So he is facilitating it. So he is the makda in this case. So if an isha would go ahead and be similar to this, she would be, it's similar to an orev, she's the makna, she will be engaged. Let's see the case. Amarava. Tain mana leplini. The woman says the following: give a mana 100 zuz to Pliny. In other words, it's not her money, but she says to Pliny to give it to him, right? And then he says, and she says, "V'akadesh lach," and I'll be mekudesh ani lacha, and I'll be mekudeshes to you. So you give the money to so and so, you give the money to so and so, and I'll be mekudeshes to you. The halacha is mekudeshes midin orev. She works midin orev. Let's try to figure this out outside. Usually the makna goes ahead and acquires something. Usually the makna acquires something, correct? You mean makna. So by a mechira, the moicher is acquiring money. By a malva, the loiva is acquiring money. By the halva, the loiva is acquiring money. Right? But by an isha, right? By an isha, she's acquiring the money, correct? She gets the money. By an isha, she gets the money. Over here, she's not getting anything. What is she getting? She's getting the hana that this person listened to her. She's getting hana that this person that she's going to be married to listened to her. So usually, in the case of Kidushin, the makna, the isha whose makna self receives money. Over here, the isha is not receiving the money. Well, why did this go through? It went through the words of the isha. An orev also, he creates it goes through because of his words. It only takes place because of his words. However, he receives nothing. So says the Rava, the Kudeshes midin orev. Orev lav avagav leimot hana liyadeh. The orev does not receive anything. Kameshabed nafsha, he's meshabed himself to pay off the loan. Hayisisa, this woman, nami afagav leimot hana liyadah, even though she does not receive anything in her hand, because again, she told this person to give it to another individual. Kameshabed makna nafsha, she's meshabed makna herself. So that's case of number one. So again, the Kidushin case number one, that the makna is not receiving anything. Usually, the makna receives something in lieu of what they're giving. Over here, she does not receive anything in lieu of what she's giving herself over, similar to the orev, who facilitates a loan when he doesn't get anything. That's mekadesh midin orev. Second case. Hilich mana viskachi leplini. A shliach, he has a shliach, and he says to take this money, and hilich mana viskachi leplini, take this money. So there's the case is speaking where he's a shliach, he has money, and and the guy is giving him the money. In other words, Ruvain makes Shimon a shliach, and Shimon has Ruvain's money, viskachi leplini, and he tells the isha, take this money and be mekudeshes to so and so. In other words, I'm giving you kesef Kidushin, but I'm not the kaina. The kaina is another individual. The one who's acquiring you is another individual. So the shliach says to the woman, take this money. Now that Shimon that sent Reuben on this mission, mikudeshes, she's mikudeshes, even though the kesef she was mezukabel was from another person. It wasn't from the husband. Again, she's getting money from what? From Reuven to be mikudeshes to Shimon. She's mikudeshes even though the money did not come from Shimon. So in the case of the Orev, the Makna did not receive anything. In the case of here, the koina did not give everything. Again, let's go through the case of Mechira and apply it to this case. Koina or Makna. A person sells property, he's the koina. The Makna, the koina, the one buys property. Makna, why does he give over the property? Because he receives something. He's receiving, you're giving me kesef, you're acquiring the property. Makna, I'm giving the property to you. Case of Kidushin, you're the koina, you're acquiring me, I'm makna myself to you. You gave, I received. In the first case over here, the chiddush was she doesn't have to receive. In the second case over here, he doesn't have to give, guys. It's a beautiful, beautiful. If you go look at the lumdus behind it, the koinu makna, it makes a lot of sense. This is the exact opposite of usually what you would expect. You usually would expect the makna to receive. Listen, just like the orev doesn't receive, in this case, the isha didn't receive, she's mukudeshes. Usually now in a case where a guy is a shliach and he's using his own money, he's using money and giving to this woman. So the koina, the one who's koina is not giving anything. The makna is receiving over here. The woman's receiving, but the koina is not receiving any, is not giving it. So how does this work? Says Rava, it works midin evet ivri. Says Rava, so this case works. Mekudesh is midin evet kanani.
Does the Baal have to give the money back?
I gotta go. I have to go. I can't. I'm sorry. Today I can't. Says the Gemara. Mikudeshes midin evet kanani. She's mikudeshes with the din of evet kanani. What's the din of evet kanani? An evet kanani who's buying himself out with kesef, right? Another person gave him money, and he's buying himself out. This evet kanani, even though he is the koina, he's acquiring himself. Because somebody else gave him the money. He's koina himself. So hi gavra, the man, the koina over here, the mekadesh, even though he didn't give anything, he's kind of desisisa. Okay, so two cases. Case number one is the case where the makna is not receiving anything, the woman's not receiving anything, similar to the oirev. Second case, the case where the koina is not giving anything, similar to Evet Kanani, where he's free, where he's not giving anything. Yeah, Meir, what's your question?
The shliach does not have to. The Baal does not have to pay back the shliach the 100 mana. It's not like the law thing like that.
Doesn't have to pay him back. No, it doesn't have to pay him back. And at the time of the Kidushin, he has to say something. You know, it's not just he just gave it. There has to be a lashon of Kidushin. By shliach, she says the Kidushin. By the case of Isha, it means he has to, the man who accepts the money, right, but gives it to the other person, says, by me giving you this money, I'm being Mekudeshes to this person. Okay, so those are two cases. Guys, are we good? You guys, are we good? Again, it's not an easy Gemara. It's good. A little bobblehead, a little fingers, thumbs up. Okay, now, so one more case, and this is going to be taken to both studim, okay? This is going to take into both studim. Tain manala Pliny, a woman says to a man, take this $100 to Pliny, the akadesh aniloi, and I'll be mekadesh to that person. Okay? Take this money, give it to so-and-so, and I'll be mukudeshes to him. So tain mana, that's your money, le Pliny. Again, so it's a woman says to Reuven, take your money and give it to Shimon. Ba'akadesh nilo, and I'll be mukudeshes to Shimon. So actually, Reuven is the shliach of Shimon. So the woman says, take this money, give it to Pliny, and I'll be mekadeshes to him, to Pliny. So in this case, you're involving both guys. Watch. In this case, is the woman receiving anything? The makna, is she receiving anything? No. Is the koina giving anything? Shimon? No. So this is the case you're going to combine both together, the hybrid of the orev and the Evet Kanani. Tain mana le Pliny. says a woman to Ruvain, take your money, the Kaddish ani loy, and I'll be Kaddish to Ploini, to the one you give it to, because within Shnehem. It works to us both. Orev lafafagav loy kamat hana liyade kamisha benafshe. I says Nami afagav loy kamat hana liyada kamakna nafsha. Okay, says when midami Orev hai the kakani lay kachasim in mina, like Orev, the one that acquires is missing money. Hi Gavra Kakani Leila Hi Isasav Lay Kachasa Lay Midi. So what are you going to say? The guy usually in Arev, the guy he's kind of for is he has to pay up. Over here, the guy he's kind of for doesn't have to pay up. So how can you go ahead and say this that you're similar to an Arev? Says Gemara, Eved Kanani Yochiach. Eved Kanani will disprove you that it's possible to be kaina even if you don't give up anything. The Lakachasim Amayna, the Eved Kanani was paid off by another man, he was freed by another man, and so too the Isha, Midin Arev, even though that the man that wasn't chas or anything, you would be free. Midami, Hasan Hach the Kamakne over there, the Bala Eved Kakani, the one who's makne, the Bala Eved is acquiring money. She's makna herself and she's not receiving anything. Says that you can make it be makna and not receive anything. Even though that is mishabed nafshe. It's a very gishmak guy. So three cases. That's chaz riba. First case of a woman going ahead, say you give money, I'll leave mekadeshes to you. She's not receiving anything. The Kidushin goes through. The Kiddush is that the makna does not have to receive. Where do we see such a concept? By Oirev. An Oirev, even though the deal goes through based upon him, right? He doesn't have to receive anything, so it works. The second case was where he said, give this money to so and so, and give this money to, and I'll be Mekadeshes to Pliny. Mekadeshes to Pliny. The shliach takes the money, and he is. He's mekadesh. You'll be mekadesh to so and so. Hey, elech money. Take this money. V'skashi leploni. So he gives money to this woman and says you'll be mekadesh to so and so. Mekudeshes. Now she received the money from who? She received money not from what the koina. She received money from his shliach. It's the shliach taking his own money. Yes. Usually the koina is the one who provides the money. The chiddush over here is that what even though the koina, the one who she's going to be married to, did not give up any money, she'll be married. How does this work? It works midin Eved Kanani. An Eved Kanani that a person gives him money to go ahead and acquire himself, he acquires himself despite the fact he never gave up anything, right? So to over here, this person acquires the woman even though he never gave up anything. And finally, the case would be that the shliach says, take this money, I'll be mekadesh, right? Take this money, akadesh ani loy, right? Take your money, take money leploni, give the money to so and so, and I'll be mekadesh to you. That it works midin shneim. She doesn't receive anything, the kohen doesn't give anything, and therefore it works both. Weiter. Boy Rava, helech mana v'akadesh ani lecha. Take this money, and I'll be mekadesh to you. It's a mashma that what that nasnahi. It's mashma that what that l'chayra. She's take this money. I'll be mekudesh to you. Now l'chayra, what's the shaila? We said nasnahi would not work because we need ki yikach like his likach. We need a sina. So he says, "Helech mana v'kadesh ni l'cha mahu." Amar mazutra b'shnei d'Rav Papa mekudeshes. Amar Rabashi l'mazutra and Cain having the chosim sheish l'machrayis nicknamed the chosim shein l'machrayis. There's a kinyan we're going to see later on. This masechet called kinyan agav. Kinyan agav works like this. I'm selling you property, karka. I'm selling you metaltlin, movable objects. If you make a kinyan in the karka, you kind of want the movable objects. You make a kinyan in the karka, you kind of the movable objects. So the havamina over here is what happened. He said, take this money and I'll be mikadeshes to you. Take this money and I'll what? And I'll be mikadeshes to you. The Gemara's havamina is that the Isha is miskadeshes with the kinyan agav. How does that work? We find that an Adam could acquire metalton agav karka. So this Isha, she's makna herself right? Agav the mana that he gave, and the mana that she agav hamana shemakna ish. So she went ahead. She gives money to the person. We know she can't give it kesef kedushin, so she's makna. So she's giving it as a matana, and now she will be as agav that money. Again, if she would just give the money outright kesef kedushin, guys, that was nas nahi, and we saw earlier in the Masechta, if she would give it, it's no good. So what's happening over here? She's giving two things. She's giving him money, and she's giving herself. So the havamina of the Gemara is that when the man acquires the money, he's going to acquire the woman agav the money. The problem with that is, fellas, the way Kinyan Agavs works is first you get the karka and then you get the money. Anisha Linyan this would have a dinner karka, Machloikas Rashi and Tosfos. Therefore, she can't be acquired agav the money. It's the opposite. You need the money being acquired agav her. So you have a problem over here. How exactly is this Kinyan working? So one more time. Right? You're telling me Im Kain that Havil in the Chosim Sheshan Achrayas, that's what? That is karka. Nickname would be acquired in the Chosim Sheshan Achrayas. Because again, the Havamina is that the money, the metaltalin, is being kind of the karka, the Isha. Vani Afkina Tanan, we learned the opposite. The Chosim Sheshan Achrayas, nikla in the Chosim Sheshan Achrayas. It's the metaltalin, the coin, in this case, should be koina agav the Isha. So yes, the Gemara is asking, Marvashi, Mazutra are asking on Rava, how can this work? If a woman says to a man, take this money from me, and I'm Mekudeshes to you, and it's Mekudeshes, how can that possibly work? The only way I think it could work is as Agav, but in this case, Agav doesn't work, because Agav usually is the Karka first, and then on top, and Metaltlin on top of that. Here it's the Metaltlin and the Karka on top of that. So Amalei Mazutra said to Ravashi, Mi Sarvis, that was speaking about Kinyan Agav, the Amallah is Skadish Lacham the Kinyan Agav. It's not speaking that she said Kinyan Agav. Hachab Adam Chashiv. Here we're speaking about an Adam Chashiv. We're speaking about an Adam Chashiv. Askina. And the Bahi Anod, the Kamakabal Matana Mina, and the Hana she has, that he's willing to receive a gift from her, Gomra Umaknale Nafshe, she's Gomer and be Machna herself. Rashi says that this person is an Adam Chashav. What does it mean? She'ena rogal lekabel matanos. He's not accustomed to mekabel matanos. We know there's a pasuk, a sign of matanos yichya. Person who hates matanos will live, and some people are very makbid never to receive matanos. Right. So this person in what was your havamina? The havamina was this was kesef kedushin. This was kesef kedushin, and we know kesef kedushin nas nahi doesn't work. The Gemara is answering, this is a matana. This is a matana. And the man received the matana. Now, what did she receive in return to be Mikadeshes? The hana, that he was willing to go ahead and receive this. We spoke out yesterday, right? We spoke out yesterday that Moichel and Milva, right? That you don't have to, you can receive intangible hana. We spoke out the Gemara in Dam Samech Vav. If she says, go ahead and dance in front of me, make jokes in front of me, she's Mikudeshes with this intangible hana, with the jokes and with the dancing. Who hadin over here, she's Mikudeshes with the intangible hana that this person was willing to accept the gift from her. So in the Havamina, we thought it went through the halachas of Kinyonim, and therefore we had a problem. She's kind of the Kesef and Agav. No, it doesn't work out Agav. It works out, and it doesn't work out Kesef Kedushin, fellas. It can't be Kesef Kedushin. You know why? Because that be with Nas Nahi. She can't give him Kesef Kedushin. So what's the Hana over here that she's receiving? She's receiving the Hana that he accepted her gift. That's Hana, it's tangible, and therefore it's a tremendous lumdis that you'll go ahead and you are what? You engaged this man. But again, the dakas the kachilik, not that she's Mikudeshes because if it's Mikudeshes because of the cash, that's Nas Nahi, that doesn't work. That's Kisi Likach, that's be Kiyikach. Here's a Kiyikach. You know what the Yikach is? He gave her the Hana of accepting the gift. That's the Kiddush over here. Again, another Lamdish Gemara in this whole sugya of Orev, of Evet Ivri, of both, and of Adam Chashav, in this very, very, again, I told you yesterday, a minimal of a month on the next two blocks. This Gemara, minimal a month. I mean, I have written down my Gemara over here that, I don't know how many years ago I learned it. It's all filled up with stuff that I don't speak out. It's really filled in with just a tremendous amount of material, but I'm giving you Russia Prakim that we should understand it basically. And I think Baruch Hashem, I think we're there. Okay. Says the Gemara Vaita. Itmanami Mishmei the Rava v'chein le'inyan memayna. So too regarding Mammon. Regarding Rashi says the din of Arev and the din of Evet Kanani, that this would work. Rashi says v'chein le'inyan memayna Hanach Shmaita the Rava the Alfinan Kidushin midin Arev umidin Evet Kanani. Kain le'inyan mamona mecha le'sada. Kain le'inyan memayna mecha le'sada v'amalai teina kesef le'ploini. Okay, the sugya, you're buying a field and you say, give the kesef to so and so, the sadai mechur lecha, and the sadai will be mechur to you. So over here you have, just like the isha did not go ahead and receive anything, so too over here, she was makna, but usually the makna receives something. Over here the makna did not receive anything. The sadai mechur lecha, boy kana midin arev. Take this money and sada will be mechur leploni. Kana oisei ploni hasada midin eved. Tain money leploni v'tikna leisada by kinyan midin shneim both. Okay, so you have the same din, just transpose the woman for the field. But tzrichi, you need to tell me both. The Ashmin and Kidushin mishav the isasa nichala b'choldahu. A woman will accept anything. Kiddush lakish, not Reish Lakish. Tav l'meisav tandu. It's better to sit to two mil'meisav armolai than to sit alone. Very famous lashon. Tav l'meisav tandu. Better to sit as two mil'meisav armolo rather than sitting alone. Al mamona emalo, but moment I would say maybe it doesn't work. In other words, a lesson Makabel get something, maybe it won't work. We know mammon is subject to mechila. So anything that's subject to mechila, I could say, okay, I'm Michael, and therefore it works. Ava Kidushin, that's not subject to mechila, emaloisa tzricha. So Kidushin has a kula. The reason it would work because the woman wants it to work because tav l'mesav tadna ramaloi. Mammon has a kula. Mammon has a kula that a person can be Michael, but the Isha not. So therefore, you had to tell me both scenarios: the scenario of Arev by Isha, the scenario of Eved Kanani by Isha, the scenario of both by Isha, but who are then by Bechira. Amarava. Hiskacheli lechetzi says the following: Be mekudeshes to half of me. The man says to a woman, gives her money, and says, "Be mekudeshes to half of me." Mekudeshes, she's mekudeshes. Chetziech mekudeshes li. However, half of you are mekudeshes to me, ain't mekudeshes. So in case number one, he's being mekadesh half of himself to the woman. In the case number two, he's mekadesh half the woman. In the case of mekadesh himself, it works. In the case of mekadesh half the woman, it doesn't work. Amalei Abaye l'Rava. Ma'ishna chetziech mekudeshes li dein mekudeshes. What's the reason that one it doesn't work? Because it says ish ki yikach isha arachmana v'lo chatzi isha. A woman should go ahead, a man should go ahead and be mekadesh a woman, mashma a whole woman and not a half a woman. Hachanami regarding the man himself, ish ki yikach arachmana v'lo chatzi ish. And so, based upon the pasuk, I don't see a discrepancy why by half a man should it work and why by half a woman it doesn't work. Says the Gemara, says to Abaya, Hachi Hashta. There's no comparison. Hasam over there. One second. Still nothing. I thought I'd have good news. Still on hold. Okay. So Amalei Rabbi Abaya. You want to know the difference between half a man and half a woman? Hachi Hashta. Hasam by the woman. Right. The reason why you're not mekudeshes is to sell the beitrei lechazia. You can't divide up a woman to two men. It's not possible. Elagavra milei chazi lebeitrei, but can a man marry two women? So I could divide up 1 to 2. V'hachi kamalad. Here's what I was telling her: the beinin leminsav achrita. I'm marrying you, but if I want to marry somebody else, the sivna, I could marry somebody else. So a woman, basically, we know a woman can't be married to two men, but 2 women could be married to 1 man. So that's why it works. I can't be Mekadesh here for you, right? Why? Because I can't be Mekadesh. I could be Mekadesh half of me to you because I'm giving you my half to all of you and I'm giving my other half to another person. But you have to be totally to me, and therefore half of you doesn't work. So they're going to ask on Abaye's teretz, Rabbi's teretz. Amalei Marzutra Brei the Rav Mari Ravina. Now, you're telling me that a half a man is Mekudeshes and half a woman's not. The Nifshatule Kidushin Bekula. Why don't we say the following lashon? So, guys, outside, this halacha like this, halacha in kachim. If you mekadesh a part of the animal, right, it's not mekudeshes. If you're mekarding a part of the animal that the neshama is tluyaba, then let's say you mekadesh half the animal, whichever half. If it's the lower half, the animal would die if you cut off a leg. We saw that in Hilchos Treifis. If it's the upper half, you die if the head. In other words, if you mekadesh a part of an animal as such that the animal would die, we're saying nispashet the kedusha throughout the whole animal. You nispashet the kedusha throughout the animal. So therefore, even though I said I'm only mekadesh half of the animal, the effect will be that the whole animal is kaddish. If that's the case, why don't we say the same thing by an isha? If you mekadesh half the isha, why don't we say nispashet? It's the whole animal. The half of the animal is nispashet throughout what? The whole isha. And therefore, why it should require the whole isha? Why don't we say that? That's the Gemara's kasha. Kasha from Kodsha. Says the Ravina. Let's ask. The nifshatula kidushay bekula. Let it be pushed. Let it spread. Let it spread bekula. It's be spread throughout the whole woman. Milay Tanya. Oimer ragla shel zu oila. Te kula oila. I might think of a person says the foot of this animal should be an oila. I might think the whole animal is an oila. That's dafka davashen an neshama tluy. That's only been mekadesh the foot. So the foot, an animal can live without a foot. So you have machlokes if you mekadesh a foot, whether it spreads throughout the whole animal or not. There's one who says it does, and one who says it doesn't. And even the one who says it doesn't, that's only because the animal can live without a foot. But if it's one of the limbs that's kaddish, you couldn't live without, then it would be nispashet. Obviously, over here, a woman without a half a body is dead. So why don't we say the following? When he was mekadesh half a woman, that the kedusha was nispashet throughout, and she'd be mekudeshes. That's the kasha. So we're asking a kasha. So just like by the animal it should be kodesh, so too by the man, if he's mekadesh half an isha, it should be kodesh. Says no midami, is it comparable? Hasam over there by an animal, hacha dasa cheres makna. Over here, that's an animal. Here we have a dasa cheres. What's the pshat? An animal is like we spoke about yesterday in the Ran. And by the Ran, we need a one-sided kinyan. We needed the passive isha, and we needed the whole man to take her. Correct? There's no das acheres. There's no other involvement by any other creature. If you're mekadesh an animal, you don't need the animal agreeing to being mekudeshes. It's all to me. So my words can do everything. So if I'm mekadesh half an animal, it's in spashet. Masha'en came by an isha. If you go ahead and mekadesh half the isha, you need the isha to agree to it. And therefore, we don't say nispashet because you need a das acheres. You need another person involved over here. It's not totally up to you. Says the Gemara one more time. Me dummy. How can you compare the two? Hasan by behema. There by behema, you don't need a das acheres. I will hach by isha das acheres. It's a das acheres, and therefore it's not going to be nispashet throughout the whole isha. Now, you want to make a comparison to an animal to a human being. Here's the comparison. Listen to this comparison. You have an animal that's owned by two shutafim. Higdish chetzia. So I own an animal with Avrami wine rib, and I'm magdish my half. I want to bring this as a carbon. The halacha is, it's not. The halacha is, it's not. Of course, it's not all kodesh. Half the animal is schooling, if you look at it that way. So really, fellas, since I can't bring it right now, it's important. Since I can't bring it right down, it only has kedushas damim. It can't have kedushas haguf. It can't be intrinsically kodesh. Why? Because since the other half is schulin, kedushas haguf is when the whole animal is kodesh. So over here, since I was magdashit, I want it to be a carbon, but unfortunately, since the other half is owned by Avami wine rib, it doesn't work. What happens if I buy now the other half from Avami wine rib, and I'm magdash the other half? Can I bring it as a carbon or not? Says the Gemara, the chazar. I go now back and I acquire it from Avami wine rib, the Ikdisha, and now I'm magdish the other half. Can I bring it as a carbon? Says the Gemara, Kedusha vein a kreva. It's Kadush, but you can't bring it as a carbon. You can't bring it on this Mizbeach, Voice a tamura, it can make a tamura, another animal that your mafis in it would be kodesh. Utamura sakiyotziba. The tamura would have what? The same din. So this is the, you want to compare it to a case? This would be the case, fellas. Watch. You mekadesh the animal half, you mekadesh the animal half, then I buy it and mekadesh the other half. It's not a good animal. So by the isha would be you mekadesh half, and then you chayz mekadesh the half. It's not a good kedushin. Not a good kedushin. Now let's just extrapolate a few halachas we can from what from Bali Chaim. There's a Gemara in Yuma that describes they would bring two seirim, seir lazazel and seir laHashem. Let's say you go ahead and you have the seir lazazel. You're going to bring the seir laHashem first. So you bring that. You're not makar of it yet, and the seir lazazel drops dead. Can you use that first one that's still alive? If you hold Bali Chaim Einani Dachim, that things that are alive cannot be pushed out of the ballpark, you simply bring an other animal. You go ahead, make a goyrel and say this one should be Lashem. I don't think you have to make a goyrel even. You bring it, you bring another one, and now you have both because the first one was still in the ballpark, and now you have this in the ballpark. There are people who hold Bali Chaim Nidachim. They're out of the ballpark. So then this one is out of the ballpark. You'd have to go ahead and make a new gyral and bring two other ones, right? Because this one's out. There's another opinion that in order to be out, you have to first be in and out, but not out initially. So all these come into play in this shiloh over here. It's called dichui, nitcha, says the Gemara. Shmami not class. In the case of the animal, me and Avrami Moinre, we can extrapolate three dinim. Amid base. Shmami na, balei chayim nidachim. Shmami na, an animal that's a balei chay, is nidachim. Because over here, this animal was alive. When I made it as a korban, it couldn't be brought, right? It couldn't be brought because the other half was schooling. So nitcha, it's out of the ballpark. And that's a shaila in the Gemara in Yuma. Ushmami na, dichui meikara, habe dichui. It's not pshat that you have to be in and be out. Even if you were never in, you're out. This case over here, it wasn't like the first case, fellas, where I made a case of two animals as a goyrol, and they were in at that point and then out. Over here, it was never in. At the time when I was Magdashit, since Avrami owned the chulin, it was never in. And nonetheless, you say you can't bring us a carbon. So you see, not only Bali Nichaim are out, but even Dichi Meikara is out. So it was never in to be out, it was always out. Ushmami no yesh dichi bedomim, and it's possible yesh dichi bedomim, because as I told you, when I was magdish the animal and I couldn't bring as the carbon, only at kedusha of its worth, not intrinsically the guf. And merely you see bali chayim for its value would be nidachim. So that's the bottom line. If you wanted to compare an isha, chatzi isha, you'd have to compare it what to this one. So the case of nispashe does not work by an isha because an isha has das acheres, bashenkin an animal, it does work. And any comparison that you'd want to make to the animal would be one that would lead it to not be mikudeshes, which is exactly the law we have. If you mekadesh half an isha, she's not mikudeshes. You mekadesh the second half. That's similar to going ahead, being mekadesh your half, and your partner keeps it chulin, and then you purchase it from your partner, and then you mekadesh the other half, and that would not be a carbon. So within by the isha, if you mekadesh half and then mekadesh the second half, it would not work. Boy Rava, a few cases. Boy Rava. Okay. Boy Rava. Says Rava the following case. Chatziech, half of you is Mekudesh Shali b'chatzi pruta. The Chetzileif, and half of you is b'chatzi pruta. Mahu. Do we say Kivin the Amala, Chetziech Mekudesh Shali b'chatzi pruta paska? Once you said that, you're out. Because it was what? Half of you with chatzi pruta, and neither one could go ahead and do the job. Or Dilm we say, he's just counting. Half for you with half a pruta, the other half of you with half a pruta. Now I have the full of you with a full pruta. So do we say with the half of you, half a pruta out of the ballpark? Or do we say I'm counting? Half, makes a whole. And you mekudeshes. Imtim Sulaima. If in that case you're going to say, right? Since what she can't be mekudeshes with chatzi pruta, and therefore, why it must be minor b'hoilachu, because since the first part is nothing, because chatzi pruta does nothing, it must mean he counts the second part. What about this? The pruta v'chetziech b'pruta mahu. So, guys, in the first part, you know why I'll say they're counting? because the half a pruta can't do anything. So therefore, since the half a pruta can't do anything, when I go ahead, continue and say another half a pruta, it doesn't do anything. Mashenki, what about this case? A full pruta on half of you, and a full pruta on half of you. So here's the kasha now. Mahu. Kim the amala pruta upruta paskal milsa. Once he said a pruta, which is the amount, do we say right there we stop, and therefore it's only half your enim kudeshes? By dilma kol yuma mayna b'haylachu. It has nothing to do with the amount. It has to do with as long as he's busy involved with this, and therefore we'd say so. It should be kudeshes. In this case, she would be kudeshes with 2 pruta. So lam shayla. How do you view it? Do you view the action or do you view the monetary compensation? If you view half and half, that works. There's 2 ways to say it works. Either it works because one way to say it works. It works because you look at the monetary compensation. Why would that be? Because the first part itself is nothing. So you must mean to combine the 2. Conversely, when you do have the full amount, maybe he doesn't mean to combine the 2, and it's paska, and you'd only have a whole pruta on half a woman, and it wouldn't work. Or do we say no? As long as he's counting half a woman, it would work. And this woman, even though pruta would have done the job, so now she has 2 prutas. Imtim Saloima, a third question based on the previous 2, right? Shekol Yuma Moidim V'Haylich, even in the case of when you gave enough money for the half, she'll be Mekudeshes with 2 prutas down the line. How about this case? Chetziech b'pruta, half of you with a pruta, hayoim, v'chetziech b'pruta l'machar, and chetziech with a pruta tomorrow. So half of you today and half of you tomorrow. Mahu, what's the din? Kivin the amalah l'machar paska. Do we say once the day ends, and she's not mekudeshes because she's only mekadesh a half? By Dilmer, perhaps hachi kamala. Tushin maskila me'idna. The half kedushin should begin now. Umigmar loy nigru ad l'macha, and it shouldn't be completed until what? The next day. So there's a svara to say, an interesting shaila. You're giving a pruta today, pruta tomorrow. If you're going to tell me a pruta today and a pruta today would work because it's all in one day. What about a pruta to half of you today and a pruta to half of you tomorrow? Maybe in that case, what? It wouldn't work. Maybe in that case, it wouldn't work. That's what the Gemara, and the Gemara doesn't answer any of these shilas. We have teku. Another suffix. Shnei chatziyach. 2 halves. 2 halves that you should be kaddish to me, the pruta. So you didn't say you're mekudesh to me pruta. You're saying 2 halves of you should be repruta. Mahu. Hachavadai b'chadzim the kamala. He said it in one time, and she should therefore be mekudeshes. Once you say the word half and half, it doesn't work. In other words, over here, l'chayra, there's no time period. You have the right amount, you have a pruta, but you have a funny lashon, chatzi. We can say the chatzi in one time period as a whole. So I have my pruta and my whole mikudeshes. Or do we say the lashon of chatzi is not a good lashon of Kidushin, and the Gemara means what? The Gemara means tekel. The Gemara means with a tekel. Okay. Boy Rabbi. Shnei b'nai secha, your 2 sons, your 2 daughters, the shnei bonai, who should be mekudeshes to my 2 sons, right? And they were appointed a shliach. The father, they appointed the father a shliach to get Kidushin for them. The father goes ahead and he says, "Man, you got 2 daughters. Let's be mekadesh to my 2 sons." And he says, "Lashamat the pruta." It says, "Lashan the pruta." Mahu. What's the din? Do we go after the noisein, the one who gave it, right? For ikam you have a pruta in whole. In other words, we go after the 2 involved. We go after the man, and we go after the shliach. There's a pruta that takes place, even though the pruta is going to be divided half to one girl and half to the other girl. We don't care. We look at what as the 2 people involved, and that's one side. Or Dilma, Basa they do as they go after the women for haleka, and they don't receive full kedushin. And that the Gemara says what? Teku. Boy Rav Papa, another shaila. Bitchu parascha k'nuyali. I'm acquiring your daughter. It's kedushin. I'm also acquiring your cow. The pruta for a pruta. Mahu. What's the din? Mi aminon bitcha b'chatzi pruta parascha k'nuya b'chatzi pruta, and therefore it ain't be mekudeshes because you didn't get a full kedushin. Like Dilma bitcha the pruta. I'm being mekudeshes your daughter with the whole pruta. Uparascha v'mashicha. And I'll be kind of the part with the Mashiach that I'll do afterwards. But the pruta is going what? On the woman. People know that, a woman's not less than a shavar pruta. So I didn't have my mind of the pruta should be to buy the cow. I have my pruta solely on the Kidushin, and I'll be kind of the apara with Mashiach afterwards. That's one way to the Shaila. Teku. By Ravashi, Bitcha v'karkoch. Now, the case, guys, is that it's a very strong svara there to say that the kesef works totally on the woman. Why is that? Because we know that kesef can't acquire a cow. We had machlokas in Bamitzia between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish whether kesef is koino or not. So in other words, if I'm buying a cow, I have to do mashicha or masira. So maybe over there, when he says, I'm giving you kesef pruta for a woman and a cow, there the svara is that the money, the kesef, doesn't apply to the cow. Because after all, a cow is not nikdash ali de kesef. What about a field, which could be ali de kesef? So there's a little fichtig shayla. Boy Ravashi, bitcha v'karkocha. I'm becoming your bitcha and your karka, the pruta with the amount for a pruta. Mahu, what's the din? Bitcha b'chatzi pruta v'karkecha b'chatzi pruta, and therefore doesn't acquire. Neither are acquired. Or Dilma perhaps bitcha b'pruta v'karka b'chatzaka. Maybe since I know that a woman can't get less than shavar pruta, it's going to be what the kinyan of pruta will be on the woman, and I'll do a kinyan of chazaka later on the karka, or no. So that's a shayla, and the Gemara here remains teku as well. Okay, so we have then again, I feel a little guilty. I always feel a little guilty when I go through. I know these sugis that have so much more on it. But as we say in Daf Yomi, we do what we do. Okay, I wish everyone a great 2 weeks. If I don't see you, I'll go to Eretz Yisrael now for 2 weeks. I will be broadcasting from Eretz Yisrael. I won't give a definitive time yet. So please, I'd love to see on the recordings that someone is watching it. I'll try to give it at a normal hour if I can, where people could go ahead and log in live. If not, don't worry about it. We get on Steve Geller's case to get this loaded. And for my dear brother-in-law and Avi, you will get the links. So don't worry. Either way. Okay.
Have a great.
Thank you. I'm going to try today to get a share in.